So these are the samples. That is so sick. You're also gonna see a bunch of the wallets come through, all of the boot accessories, little Swayze wallet, but we only order in batches. So if you want some really cool alien blood core products, be ready. World War I was one of the first real industrialized wars, especially at the scale that World War I was fought at. But war at that time was still very firmly planted in the past, with trench warfare strategy that did not match the potential killing power of this new industrialized war. And this imbalance between strategy and weaponry led to some of the most devastating casualty numbers and some of the worst conditions of any war in history. Because most of the time it was just two opposing sides deeply dug into trenches, shooting and mortaring each other day and night, where ground was very hard won. And that area in between the two trenches was an absolute killing zone, thusly named the killing zone. And with the help of this new devastating weaponry, sometimes they would only advance a foot at a time, especially on the Western Front. That was until September 15th, 1916, during the Battle of Somme. The clacking of tracks and the high-pitched squeal of metal on metal was heard across the battlefield as the British Mark I tank rolled onto the battlefield, built for one purpose and one purpose only: to break the stalemate of trench warfare by rolling over trenches, barbed wires, and the cratered earth of the killing zone. Tanks were an absolute revolution in modern warfare, with basically every other nation developing similar tanks at the exact same time. And just a couple decades later, the tank would play an even more important and versatile role across all of Europe during World War II. And with these new and improved tanks for World War II, they packed more weapons, more equipment, more technology into these rolling fortresses. And by World War II, they were essentially land submarines, where every square inch of the inside was precious real estate not to be squandered or wasted, which caused the insides of these tanks to be so packed full, they became claustrophobic. And it soon became clear that they were also extremely dangerous, because any loose clothes and especially laces could easily snag on any of the internal workings of the tank, especially the firing mechanisms, that had enough force to literally rip the leg off of a soldier. So after identifying that problem, in 1937, H.E. Ketzler of Denner Shoe Company and the one and only General George S. Patton Jr. decided to solve this problem by designing a boot made specifically for the inside of a tank, appropriately named the tanker boot. Now, nearly 100 years later, brands like Nix are still making a version of this boot today. So we're gonna cut this thing in half, run through all of our tests to finally answer the 5 things that make this arguably the most unique boot in all of military history, why it still lasted almost 100 years later, even though nobody's rolling around in tanks very often. What are the steep downsides of a boot like this, and are they still practical for everyday use? And why is it that almost after 100 years later, this boot refuses to die off and go extinct? But first, what is this boot? Well, the brand is Nix. The style is the Tactical Tanker HD. This is their new version of the tanker with some upgraded parts and bits and bobs, like the flex right here, the integrated padded tongue, extended counter. This is essentially the evolution of the Nix tanker pattern. And this comes in this coyote color leather, and we're doing a limited quantity of tankers made for the 22nd century. Rampant alien issues as a space freighter going across the universe. You never know what you're gonna run into. You need a boot that can handle anything in any environment, in any world, in any galaxy. You need a boot made for slaying aliens, that's resistant to the most acidic alien blood, that's capable of tackling any environment on any world. These are the Alien Core tankers. And super limited quantities. If you're watching this, they're already sold out. We might do another drop, so just get on that limited edition email list below, because that's where you're gonna get notified of the next drop, early access, the sizing guide, everything you need to know to make sure you don't miss out on a pair next time. How much do these weigh? Well, they're pretty hefty, 2 pounds, 10 ounces. They're made in Spokane, USA. And the way they position this product is basically this whole video. And so what is Alien Core? Well, it's the next evolution of our Blood Core line, where initially I wanted a leather that was a constant reminder that this used to be a living animal. Like, as you wear this, as you scar it, as you scratch it, the leather will literally bleed and show that bright red pop of color. And maybe more importantly, this leather shows you and your unique lifestyle, what you do, the work that you do, how you live your life, because every time you scratch and scar this thing, it's gonna become unique to you. It's almost like you're imbuing the soul into this boot by using it, by scratching it, by running it through its paces, because leather is one of the unique materials that just gets better with age. It looks better, it performs better, and it's taken Mother Nature millions of years of trial and error of survival of the fittest to develop the perfect material to wrap animals. And leather is one of the most versatile and durable materials that man has ever used, dating back to the very first pair of shoes that we've ever discovered, and still to this day we use it. And that's what I want this leather to represent, because if you look at the most extreme, worn through multiple space battles, this is about as heavy wear as you could ever put into this leather, and just look at how cool it looks. Obviously artificially simulated to the ultimate intense degree, just to prove this leather will withstand anything and look good doing it. And if any of you ever beat your boots up this much, I will be wildly impressed. Because this is about as much as you can beat up a boot without it falling apart. So if you do want a pair of tankers, check them out below. So what is that first thing that makes these boots so unique and so different? Well, all 5 of these differences are a direct result of issues caused by being inside of a tank that they had to fix. Like number 1 is there's no nylon in this boot whatsoever. If you remember back to the other boots that we've reviewed for World War II, they had a lot of nylon on the side. They had straps, they had laces, and that nylon canvas or cotton canvas is really breathable, it's really lightweight, it's really affordable, it's easy to manufacture with. But the problem with these synthetics was if it was exposed to any kind of heat or flame, or the red hot shell or any of the firing mechanisms on the inside of a tank that touches the side of that canvas, melts right through it, next thing you know, you'll get a hole burned in your leg. That you cannot deal with on the inside of a tank. So how do they fix that problem? Well, they just removed as much of that synthetic and the canvas and all the things that will melt from the boots and made it full leather all the way through. And just to put that in perspective, this leather is 2.5 millimeters thick compared to just some regular canvas. We did a couple of flame tests on it. Just look at the difference. And even the puncture test, it took 110 pounds to puncture through. So you can see why it was necessary for this boot to be full leather, which is directly related to the number 2 difference, which is these have no laces whatsoever. For the exact same reason, imagine something really hot touches your lace pops, and next thing you know, you don't have any way to tighten down your boots. And even at the time where it's leather laces, they're so thin that they get really fragile, they break. If you've ever had a pair of boots with leather laces, it's only a matter of time before they break, especially if they're exposed to heat and water and constant cooling and heating and drying out. They just become so brittle that they break like a toothpick. And so they solve that by basically just wrapping a belt around the entire boot. Instead of having just a little 1/4 inch thick piece of lace, this strap is about 1 inch thick. And so that does 2 things for this boot. 1, you're not gonna melt through your laces, they're not gonna break, but more importantly, your lace is not gonna get caught in any of the mechanisms that are moving that could potentially pull your leg into the firing mechanism and literally rip your leg off. You could still catch a strap, but you don't have the big bunny ears hanging off. You don't have all the different points it could potentially hook onto. And the beauty of it is you can still tighten your boots. Maybe not to the full extent where you're gonna have all the support of a full laced up boot, but it's gonna have a lot more support than a pull-on boot or even a modern Chelsea boot. So it did a really good job of bridging that gap between a full-on, full-lace war boot and a more casual pull-on. And that kind of leads us to the number 4 problem, which is easy on and easy off. Because the lacing up boots takes forever. Even if you got the speed hooks, we did a little lace race to show the difference. Even with speed hooks, it takes a pretty long time. And that made these boots some of the most versatile and well thought out boots of the entire war. So much so that even till this day, there's really not a different solution for this. You've got pull-on boots, you've got Chelsea boots, you've got all these boots that are easy on and off, but you don't have the support because you don't have any laces or straps. On the opposite end of the spectrum, you've got full lace-up, 14-inch Pacific Northwest logging boots that have all the support in the world, but it's gonna take you 20 minutes to get in and out of your boots. And as far as I've seen, nobody's designed a boot that solves that problem quite like the tanker does that was invented almost 100 years ago. And along with that, because there's no laces, there's no need for eyelets. So you don't have another point to potentially get stuck into any of the machinery. You don't have 20 failure points. You don't have all the little holes to get clogged with mud when you're in and out of the tank and you're trying to maintain the tank, get it out of the mud that it's stuck in. Whereas the buckles, they're big enough and chunky enough that even if it is caked with mud, you can still easily get them on and off. And really the 5th thing that made these boots so unique and so useful for the tank crews is they allowed for a lot better circulation, because tank crews would often be stuck in their tank for up to 48 hours at a time. And so if you had a super tight boot on for 48 hours, you'd literally lose circulation to your leg and get to the point where you'd have necrosis because there's no circulation, and any little cut, any bruise, any issue you have could immediately turn into a giant infection and you'd lose your leg. And so all the soldiers that were stuck in these tanks, they needed the ability to easily loosen them, tighten them. And that sounds like, okay, that's nice, like for them. But that's what's cool about this boot is it still translates to today. Like, because my dad's a truck driver. And so I was like, actually, no, this would be like a good boot for my dad. Because when he's sitting in the truck for 8 to 10 hours just driving down the road, he can keep these nice and loose, get that circulation going through. But if the weather turns and it's a blizzard, he's stuck on the side of a mountain, putting on chains and strapping down his load in a blizzard, you also need something that you can strap yourself down in, give you the support that you need and the traction you need to be safe on the side of a freeway. And that's exactly what this boot allows you to do. But what about the cons? Well, let's cut this thing in half, see what's on the inside, and I'll show you there's 2 really big cons you need to know about before committing to a pair of these boots that is still an issue with this boot to this day. So now, let's cut them in half. This is all of our boot accessories that we've slowly developed over the last 4 years as we've done more and more boot reviews and realized how many things are missing in the market. Because if you're watching this, there's a good chance you have a nice boot, and one of the funnest things to do with it is start to build it out, kit it out, customize it, make it your own as you're breaking it in. And that's what these kilties and boot pocket kits allow you to do. We got them in a bunch of different leathers, a lot of really popular boot leathers. They come in different sizes. You got the fringe, you got the no-shows, you got 6, 8, 10 inch, you got the boot pocket kit with 3 different pockets, different sizes. You sew it on the side of your boot, sew it on your jacket, sew it on anything. And we also just released these laces, but they sell out every time we get a restock. So if they are sold out, get on that limited edition email list. We'll announce when we have a restock of these. Even down to the Jim Green outsole we designed with Jim Green for the barefoot boots. You can buy them on our site. But the most surprising products of the year that really were shockingly successful was the boot breakers. You know, we launched this, it was 2 millimeters of foam and a high abrasion fabric just to help break your boots, because this hard veg tan is such a pain to break in for the first few weeks. Just having 2 millimeters of squish still allows you to break in that insole, still allows you to get the whole heritage feel, but it eases that painful break-in until you're ready to pull them out, or you just leave them in for tons of comfort. And we just launched the 4 millimeter foam boot breaker if you want just a little extra squish, twice as thick as the original boot breaker. So now that you've bought probably a few high quality boots, customize them, protect them, make them a little bit more comfortable. That's what all these accessories do. So be sure to check out all these below. They make great gifts, self gifts, and it's a huge way that you can help support the channel. So check them out below. Yikes. All right, we got them cut in half. If you're not subscribed, consider pushing that little subscribe button. And thank you guys for supporting our collaborations. It's really cool to be able to do this and take things to the most extreme to show you what literally 20 years of battling aliens on a space freighter across the universe would look like and do to a boot. That's how we were able to do this kind of thing, to tell these unique stories, to immortalize parts of history that really never get talked about, and really explain why it mattered, not just for the war, but to the individual soldier, equipment that they used day in and day out that made the difference, maybe not on the grand scale of the war, but made the difference in the war for them. That's why I like doing this stuff. So if you want a pair of alien core tankers, check them out below. And now, let's see what's inside. So then what's the difference between the tanker boots and the regular Nicks? Well, you can see the biggest difference is the tankers. They've got the foam midsole, the rubber midsole, the rubber insole, and then a removable insole with a little bit of a leather filler right there, versus the regular classic Nicks are chock full of leather. The leather heel stack, leather midsole, leather insole, leather shank, and they both do have the leather counter, but the biggest difference between these boots is the materials used. A lot of Nicks boots are a 270 stitch down construction with a nailed heel, where their tactical boots are a 360 stitch down construction, and those are the main differences between these two boots. But what is the issue and cons between these two styles of boots with the tanker boot and your regular lace-up boot? Well, one is you just will never get the tankers nearly as tight and secured as a lace-up boot. Because where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 points to tighten it down and articulate it and get it to form fit to your foot perfectly, on a tanker boot, you really only have 3 or 4 points of articulation. And when you work in a job where you need that kind of support and you need to have your foot perfectly cemented in the boot, where there's no slop side to side, front to back, you can't have that with a tanker boot. You're always gonna have a little bit of slip, you're always gonna have a little bit of movement, not nearly as much as a pull-on boot because you can tighten it down, but that is an important difference you need to consider between these two styles of boots. And on top of that, if you're doing a comparison between this boot and the other World War II boots, a full leather design is extremely expensive, especially in war where resources are scarce and they're doing everything in their power to find unique ways to save on metal, on rubber, on raw materials. This boot basically had to be full leather. So it was a very expensive boot to make. It was a very resource intensive boot to make, and still to this day it's expensive because of how much leather is in this boot. You're gonna pay a pretty penny for the ultimate version of a tanker boot. And there's good reason why this style of boot is still around almost 100 years later. And it's because of all those unique attributes that were baked into this design, because it was specifically designed for the inside of a tank. They still work really well for modern jobs. Like if you're a welder or you're around sparks all day and you can't have laces or canvas on the side of your boot, This boot solves that problem. If you're in a job where you're in and out of people's houses all day, but you still need support, this boot solves that problem. If you've got a job that you're constantly in the mud, there's nothing worse than stepping in a bunch of mud and stepping out of your boot and you're just sitting there bouncing like a flamingo on one leg trying to yank the other boot out of the mud. This boot solves that problem. Because a lot of the things that they baked into this boot are still useful to this day, not specifically on the inside of the tanks, but for everyday use for a lot of different applications. And that to me is why this boot is so cool. Aside from it being a literal alien slaying looking boot, it's actually practical. So let me know what you guys think and support this video wherever you can, because I love doing these historical deep dives into the functionality and the story of the boots. And thank you guys for your support of our collaborations that allow us to do this. And also check out all of our handmade leather goods that we make out of this exact same leather with our micro adjust belts, our wallets, our kilties. Check them all out below, and thank you guys again. See ya. Weaponry.